Hi, I'm Meadow Rue Merrill. I'm a local author of stories for children and adults, and I write from a little house in the woods just up the Kennebec River in Maine. Right now I've got the laundry going, my little dog is sleeping in the corner, my kids are off at school, and I wanted to share with you how I got started writing because I think you might enjoy it too. Long before I wrote any stories or books for adults or children, I began writing for myself. Maybe you keep a journal. That's how I began writing. And so I brought today a stack of journals that I wanted to show to you so you can get a feeling for what they look like. Here's one little stack of journals I've kept about my life. And you probably haven't lived life long enough to write as many journals as I have. I've written 21. I counted them today just for you. But I started out writing when I was 11 years old. And I really loved horses. So there it is. There is the notebook that I started writing in. To have a journal, some people want to keep a little book with a lock and key. I've never had a journal with a key. But I did find inside of those blank pages of the notebooks I found lots of space to write my own thoughts and feelings. And so I want to start by reading to you the very first entry I made when I was 11 years old on June 25th, 1984. I wrote, "Nothing much happened today, though it seemed like something should, but I don't know why. Last night I went to bed with a fever and woke up not feeling so well, but I'm still on my feet, surprisingly. It was cloudy today, but it didn't rain, luckily. John, my brother, and I worked at cutting a trail through the woods down to the river at our new house where we're about to move in a week." And I go on talking about my hopes for what that new house will bring, including a pony, which I never got, much as I did love horses. But I wrote in that journal not once every day like some people do. I wrote in it probably once or twice a month. And so that little notebook lasted me a year. But because I kept it and I kept writing, I have a consistent collection of my own growth and development, my ideas, my feelings, my family and friends, the things that mattered to me all through my childhood and young adult and adult years. Up until today, the current journal I keep is right here. It says "Be Still" on the front because I'm trying to find more time to be quiet and to be at rest during these very busy times. So I wanted to encourage you today with some thoughts about how to get started keeping a journal. One thing that is really great about a journal, as opposed to something a teacher might ask you to write for school, and I'm a teacher, so you do have to write those assignments and give them your best and make them as true as you can make them. But a journal is a special place where you can write down a record of interesting things that happened to you, maybe places you've gone, like this journal that I started when I was 12, and actually the week I turned 13, and my family took a trip to Israel. And so I have one journal that is just about that 2-week trip and the things we did, like riding a camel for half a mile down the streets of Jerusalem to our hotel. That's something I'll never forget, but having written it down gives me a chance to re-experience what that was like for me when I was 12, turning 13. So you can write about things that happen to you, places you go. You can write about your feelings, right? We all have sometimes really exciting feelings about things we're looking forward to, or maybe some really hard, difficult feelings about things we've experienced. In my journals, I wrote about everything from fighting with my mom to being really excited about having a snow day and getting to stay home from school. And I can relive all of those just by looking back through those books. You can also, which is really fun to do in a journal, you might want to store things like special photos. Here's a journal. Do you like my little feet stickers on front? And if you open it up, you'll see some of the friends that I was hanging out with my freshman year in high school. And I put those in there. So a journal doesn't have to just be for words. I have lists like New Year's resolutions. And I have, look at this. Here's my student ID card from when I went to Berwick Academy for 1 year down in South Berwick. So it can be a place where you can tuck favorite mementos. It also might be a place where you can keep other writing that you've done. So here's a journal from when I was 12. There's a photo. That's my trying to be very serious young face. I'm wearing a little jacket there. And I have things in that journal like, look at that. Sorry, you can't quite see them. Valentine's cards from my classmates that I stuck in there. But when I was looking through this journal for things to share with you, I also found this paper. And I'm going to open it so I can just read some of it to you. And I knew when I pulled this out when I was going through my journals, I knew exactly what it was because it's very wrinkly and it's been folded and unfolded many times. It's the only copy I have of my first poem. I remember yesterday how all lived, but today something is missing. I remember how the sun rose, how the dewdrops in all their glistening bade good day to all kinship, but alas, I am reminiscing. I remember his soft steps falling on grass, how his motor mouth purring scared birds and toads away like a panther in his sleuthing. Sometimes they fled to their safety, but alas, my mind is still drifting. It's hard not to remember when something means so much, to forget as if dreaming their soft and much-loved touch. Before he walked on feet, but now a-flying, I'll see him again someday, by the pearly gates abiding. So clearly it's a poem that meant a lot to me at the time I wrote it. You may have guessed it is about my cat, a little orange tabby named Tigger, who sadly got hit by a car one day when I was at school. And when my mom told me that my cat had died, I didn't know what to do with all those feelings. And so at about 11 years old, 12 years old probably when I wrote that, I sat down and I put my feelings into a poem. It sounds kind of old-fashioned today because those were probably the poets I was reading at the time, and I must have based my language and my style on theirs. But in a journal, you can write whatever you want. You can use your own style, your own words, your own feelings. It's pretty close to free for an activity. All you need is a book and a pen. It could be a spiral notebook, or it might be something you find at a local store. But you can write anything just for yourself. And I think of a journal a little bit like a mind map. Sometimes I wish my mind had a map and I could just unfold the pages and I could see where I am and see where I've been and see where I'm going. My feelings, but also places and people who are part of my life. And a journal is kind of like that. It's kind of like a map made of words that you write for yourself. And so if you're wondering how to get started, maybe you naturally enjoy writing and that's something that you're eager to start doing. If you're not sure where to start, here's a list I give to my students. And you can add anything to this if you want to copy it down. I'll show you, I just made a little list right here. And it says this. These are little ways or places that you could begin your own writing in a journal. I want, I wonder, I wish, I feel, I think, I dream, I believe. You could add just about any feeling to that, but you could continue that little prompt with just a subject and a verb, and you could add anything after it. If I were to answer those questions, and you don't have to answer them all on a single page, you could probably sit down and begin with I want, and write for pages if you wanted to. How about, I want to start a journal. I want to remember what my life felt like when I was a kid. I want to run and be free and play with my friends. I want to know that everyone's going to be okay. And you can just continue that stream of thought. And you can, whenever you get stuck, just start again with I want. Or you could continue on with something else, I wonder. Or you might decide that you want to write about something that happened at school or something that's happening in your family. Sometimes taking those words and writing them down is a way to take them out of myself, a place where I have to carry that concern or that wonder deep inside, and I could put it safely in a book where I can think about it and I don't have to carry it around only inside of myself. So those are my words for you who might be interested in starting to write. Many, many years, decades before I ever published my first book, I was a writer when I was 11 and I started a journal. So I hope you'll think about doing that too. Thank you. And if you'd like to learn more about me or my books, you can go to my website, which is Meadow Rue, MEADOWRUE.com. And there's a link on there where you can send me an email or you can read about my children's books. You can even read a little blog that I keep. That's kind of like a journal or a mind map that I share with other people. But the journal that I'm keeping right now is mostly for myself. And so I hope that you'll enjoy keeping a journal for yourself too. Thank you.